Y'all still Mills, West. Yeah, get up, man. We back. Bro, I just dropped my two youngest off at my mom and pop's house. I'm about to head to Hy-Vee and grab me some M&M cookies. Them hoes is good. And my niece just got on it there too, so I told her to use my official plug for the M&M cookies. Them bitches bang off. But peep game, man, I want to talk about something, man. That fight card last night was dope. That was a real good card. That was a real good card, man. But we ain't. I want to get into the co-main event. I want to I want to talk about that first, because people take issue with my my stance on Emiliano Vargas. So I want to speak to that first, man. I want to say this. Damn, that shit good. The type of performance he put on last night was necessary for the growth of his career and his development as a fighter. One thing I've noticed, Americans in particular, we've grown so accustomed to thinking that there's only one way, there's only one irrefutable and unbeatable way to win a fight, and that's this slickster outboxer type get down. And it really annoys me, man. It really annoys me. So this kid went in there. Now, mind you, I don't want to sit here and talk like I'm the biggest Emiliano Vargas fan, because I'm not. He really pissed me off with that him finding comedic value in Teofimo doing what he did to Keyshawn Davis. That really pissed me off, bad. But talent-wise, the kid is this dude is gonna he's gonna have a higher ceiling than his pops. I think he's gonna, if he continues like this, he's gonna have a higher ceiling than his pops. But this is his second 10-rounder, and for he goes in there, he's like, all right, man, the goal and the objective is to get rounds in, and just the minute I saw this dude Quintana and I saw his flag, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a tough fight, because them Argentinian motherfuckers ain't nothing to play with. You're not just gonna steamroll them dudes in most cases. They coming to fight. They not coming to lay down. And with him, he's like, I want to continue to go rounds. I want to go rounds. It's easy to go in here and just blast a motherfucker up out of here, man. But you don't always gain something from that. A lot of times you got to go through the gears with a motherfucker to really sharpen, for you to when you go rounds with a motherfucker, a lot of times it buffs out and highlights the flaws and deficiencies in your game. So you're able to see that shit and go back to the drawing board and look to address it. So that's what he did in there. He went in there, he put on a real good performance. And I, when I say, a real good performance, I'm talking, just the level of opposition wasn't, he was never in trouble of any, losing the fight or anything like that. It was just how the person in front of him was able to make him work harder than most other fighters have. And that's a lot of times how I grade fighters. Emiliano Vargas is a dude who's projected to have a real high ceiling in the sport. So when you go in there and you're able to, somebody's able to make you work, they're hitting you in the exchanges, they're initiating the exchanges, they'll win one or two exchanges. They're just making it competitive. They're just making it so where you're not going to be able to come in here and just impose your will on me. You're not just going to hit me and I fall down to the ground. That's not going to happen. We in here to fight. And I'm going to force your wheels to spin a little bit. That's what he was going in there to do. And that's what he was in front of. He was never in any real danger. But the fact that, the dude was able to stay there in the pocket with him and bang out. And, just, counter him effectively in spots. To the point where you're like, yo, okay. This dude is coming to fight. This ain't no weak dude. That is how I think that's something that should be taken into consideration. It ain't always the fact that the fighter who's getting touched up a lot more than the fighter who's known is getting touched up a lot more than we're accustomed to seeing. It's not always that he's a hype job. And that's something that I was coming across on my page last night because I feel like Emiliano Vargas is ready for I think he's ready for title. He's ready for a title shot. He's ready for a title shot. He is ready for a title shot. But people was getting aggravated with me because I said that, and it was like, man, he ain't ready and this and that and the third. He got hit way too much. Bro, this is boxing. You're going to get hit. Abdullah Mason gets hit, but he's also defensively responsible. And a lot that happens when you fight, when you have a certain style. You're not you don't avoid the pocket, you don't avoid the phone booth. That happens. That's gonna happen. That's something that should be congratulated. Instead, you bitch ass niggas is up here talking about how the amount of holes he has in his game and just how overrated he is and blase blase blah. And I'm like, yo, y'all sound wild. Y'all sound wild. Even, Sergio Moro was talking about just the Mexican veteran tactics that he was applying, man, with the, putting his forehead right in the dude's chest, and which led to him leading a lot with his forehead in that fight. I'm not gonna lie, and I think one of those cuts came from that. I could be wrong, but he was leading with his forehead a little bit. But one thing I liked about the kid was just his distance, and he's really fast on his feet. Really fast on his feet, really fast hands, really good counter punching. One thing I liked about him that I thought was, very, calculated and mature is how he switch hits. When switching has kind of become cliche. It's becoming a bit cliche. In particular, when I say that, I'm looking at the likes of Zach Parker, because I just think it's just a flagrant deficiency when it comes to switch hitting with him that he has, and just his what's the word I'm looking for? Repetitiveness and how easy you're able to hone in on it, and just he'll lower a combination out of the southpaw stance and then he'll switch to the conventional stance, and then when he lets a combination go from that hand, he's switching back to the southpaw stance. It's like, bro, that gets easy to key in on after a while. I'm gonna need you to chill on it, man. With Emiliano Vargas, how he was using it to cut off the ring. The opponent would go, start, he's painted to the rope by this time, but if he starts moving to his right hand, Emiliano was switching southpaw to cut the ring off from him. I'm like, that's smart right there. That's calculated. That's maturity right there. I really dug that shit. I thought that was really, really, I thought that was dope, man. You gotta salute that, man. That's high IQ if you ask me. But he went in there, he just really, around, what was that, 7, 8, 9, the later rounds, he really started taking it to him. He really started putting on the pressure. He started finding a home for the backhands a lot better. Everything was just on point with the kid, man. He's still eating leather, but it's not nothing like his face wasn't blemished. He was never hurt. He wasn't dropped. He didn't do the stanky leg. He didn't do none of that shit, man. He needed that shit. These fighters today, they avoid the pocket because it's a very misunderstood version of their interpretation of Floyd Mayweather, where they think they just supposed to straddle the rope the entirety of the fight. And that's just not how you do it. That's not, it's slick, but it ain't the only way to be slick. Floyd didn't avoid the pocket. Go ask Canelo Alvarez. He didn't avoid the pocket. So why is it that you think that that's the only way to skin a cat? And I keep saying this, I'm gonna keep repeating this. When you learn to fight in the pocket like that, you develop instincts to where you don't panic when you can't get away from somebody. These fighters, they want to sit here and they want to straddle the ropes and fight off of the back foot and, do laps around the ring and shit like that. So when it's time to, bite down on your mouthpiece and throw heavy leather, they're lost in the sauce. Because it's an uncomfortable distance and range that they fighting at, man. I need you at the end of my jab. I need you at the end of my 1-2. And if I want to enter into the pocket, I'll do that of my own free admission. But it's going to be me initiating, me stepping in behind the jab. It's not going to be you forcing your way into my, past my levers, past my 1 and my 2. So you can have your way with me. No, that's not going to happen. It's going to be me. And once it doesn't go their way, you see, it gets ugly for him, man. I mean, we can talk all we want to talk about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. Nobody is about to deny that dude was a cheat. Nobody can deny that, man. But the thing is, the minute you didn't have, somebody was able to get past your jab, the minute somebody was able to get past your 2, it got real dark for you in there. And even when you look at Brian Norman Jr., man, you avoided that dude like the plague, and you had him bent to your will. And you refused to engage him. How Emiliano Vargas fought last night, that is what you're supposed to do in the now. So when it's time for you to face a dangerous opponent who can, a pressure fighter or even a boxer puncher, Someone who's just not, who's not scared to, avoid the phone booth. And they're long enough and rangy enough to where they can hit you and it's going to force you to plant your feet because either you want that shot back because he's hitting you a little too much and it's going to cost you losing a round, or they're going to force you to stand in the pocket because you can't, they're pinning you to the rope and they're beating you and they're just on you like white on rice. They in your chest. You have to know how to deal with those type of fighters, man. And these dudes are doing themselves a serious disservice by disrespecting phone booth fighters. You have to learn to fight at that range. Because everybody, y'all motherfuckers is not Floyd Mayweather, man. Only one, Shakur can fight like that. But the thing is, Shakur is so savvy in the pocket. It's gonna be hard. That's a 1,500 piece word puzzle right, a piece puzzle right there. You know what I'm saying? He's a lot harder to figure out. You other niggas though is like, nah, y'all not him. Y'all not him. Y'all have to get comfortable with fighting at that range. So him staying in the pocket like that and banging out with this Argentine, that was smart. That was smart. You sharpening, developing your instincts. That shit matters, Brody. That shit matters. Knowing how to defend yourself in the pocket. Looking for the openings. The small, slightest, and most minute window of opportunity. You got to let go of a shot and land it right on the sweet spot. You're able to find it. Why? Because you know how to fight in the pocket now. It ain't just about taking 5 steps back off the jab, or in the case of a lot of these niggas, floating and gliding around the ring. You don't want to be that dude, because it's going to come a point in time in your career where someone is going to make you work. Someone is going to make you work more than what you're accustomed to working, and that could fuck around and cost you the fight. My fault, I had to throw my visor down. So how he fought in there last night was, that I thought that was logic. That was very much so logical to do, man. Because he needed that. He needed that acid test, and now he's saying he wants a former world champion. That's maturity. You gotta salute that, man, because he ain't rushing for no, yo, man, give me so and so, give me so and so, give me the champions. He's like, nah, let me go in here, let me get in, let me see how I'm able to do with a former world champion. And if it's a former world champion he's looking for, that fight is more than likely going to be a 12-rounder, and he's ready for it. He's more than ready for it, man. I'm going to be, like I said earlier, man, I think he can beat Russell, and I think he can beat Hitchens right now. I think he can beat them dudes. I'm sorry, bro. I do. I think he's sharper than him, man. I think he's sharper than him. That's just how I'm feeling about it, man. But, that was a real good performance for the kid last night, man. A lot of people was feeling some type of way about the stoppage. I didn't feel too bad about the stoppage. I understood it. He could have continued. You seen in his body language, he was like, y'all got me fucked up. Them Argentinian motherfuckers is not nothing to play with. They tough. They're tough. Damn, them Japanese, you won't have to borderline kill them motherfuckers to get them to stop pressing the action. You dig me? He did not want to stop. He was mad. He was like, yo, y'all, man, y'all. And I think he shouldn't be denied, opportunities after this, even though Emiliano Vargas isn't at his, he's not at his apex yet, but he's a hot prospect. He was just the prospect of the year last year. He's the prospect of the year last year. Now you're here. I don't think Quintana should be someone who's forgotten. He shouldn't go. He shouldn't be banished to the ashes of time. I think he should be. Y'all need to keep bringing him back. Y'all need to keep bringing him back, man, because he's a very good acid test for the 40 pounders right now. And he could be a factor in the division. He could, because I think it's unfair to say that Emiliano Vargas is a factor in the division and we have a high ceiling for him, but you're gonna sit here and be forgetful of Quintana, man. Nah, man. He was able to make Vargas work and labor in spots, a lot of spots in the fight. Quintana should be respected, and I think he should be brought back. So that's how I'm feeling about it, man. Good win for Vargas. We'll see. Oh, hells yeah. Good win for Vargas. I want to see who his next opponent is going to be. He's saying he wants a former world champion. I think that's a smart thing to do, because I personally think he's ready for a belt right now, championship bout with one of them fighters up there. But nonetheless, put his ass in. It ain't even got to be a former champion. But a former champion would be smart for him. I ain't mad at it, man. But he's ready for the contenders up there, Brody. He's ready for the contenders up there. I'm looking at Andy Hirioka, and I'm like, yo, bro, he's more nuanced than Andy Hirioka. He is, man. He is. He is. And that man went in there and arguably beat Gary Antoine Russell. So, good win from Youngin. Good win. There's really nothing else to say, man, other than 140 is you could. That's one of the hottest divisions, and this is what pisses me off so bad about Keyshawn, because I'm like, you got all this. It's too much smoke up there for you to be chasing Devin Haney and fucking Lamont Rose, bro. Cut that shit out. Cut that shit out, man. You way too talented for that. Stay your ass at 140 and run a gauntlet there, because it's some career defining fights in that division, man. And that's all I got to say about it, man. I'll tap back in with y'all later, yo. Doses.